So the next section we're going to look at is adding and subtracting polynomials, and then we're going to look at multiplying polynomials. On your notes, you're going to have dividing polynomials, but we're not going to get into that yet. So let's just get started with this. So I just put a few steps here to kind of help you keep track of what's going on. So with adding or subtracting polynomials, we're just going to combine like terms, and then we're going to write our answer in standard form, which standard form of a polynomial is to just write your exponents from greatest to least. So that's really all we'll be doing with this first part. I don't anticipate you'll have much trouble with this. Just be sure, like it says in step 1, you're combining like terms. So for instance, you can't take like x to the third and add it with x to the second. Those wouldn't be like terms. So they have to have the same variable, same number of exponents. So let's look at, we'll look at an addition one and a subtraction one. So let's look at number 1. We've got 3x squared plus 11x plus 4. We've got our plus sign here, so we're adding, and we're going to be adding each of these terms here with the like terms on the left. So let's just start out with 3x squared. We can't add that with this negative 5x here because we can't add an x squared with an x, but we can add it with this x squared. So that would give me 4x squared there. Now we're done with those. Let's see. Left we've got this 11x here. We can combine that with this negative 5x. So that would be the same thing as saying 11x minus 5x. So that's going to give me plus 6x. So we're done with those. And you can mark them out if you want to. Then the last one we have is this positive 4 minus 13. And that would give me negative 9. So my final answer in standard form would be 4x squared plus 6x minus 9. And you really just have to be sure to keep up with your signs and make sure you're combining like terms. Now let's look at number 3. On number 3, you'll notice we have subtraction here. So you just have to be sure to keep up with that. Now we have 5k to the third. If you notice on this side in this parentheses, we don't have another k to the third. So there's really nothing to combine that with. That's like saying 5 minus 0. So that's not going to give me anything. So that will lead off my my standard form polynomial. Now we've got negative 2k minus 2k. So that's actually going to give me negative 4k squared. So those will be done. We combine those like terms. All right. Now we are left with negative 2, or now we're left with positive 2k minus 2k, which that's just going to give me 0. Now, here's the big thing you've got to watch for when it's subtraction. So we don't have anything left on this side to combine with this 17 because we've used everything else. But if you notice, I have a minus sign outside of a parentheses. So that's like saying the same thing as this. It's like saying, let me rewrite this. That's like saying 0 minus 17. So this would not come down as just a plus 17. It would come down as minus 17. So that's the only thing you have to be, that's the only thing you really have to watch for with these is if there's ever a minus sign, like if we look at number 4, this minus sign here, it goes in front of all of these if they just come out by themselves. So all of those terms, if one just comes out by itself like 17 did and you can't combine it with anything, then that minus sign still goes with it. It's like saying 0 minus that, which would be, in this case, 0 minus 17. So it comes out as a minus 17 here. But that is adding and subtracting polynomials. Now we're going to look at multiplying. And multiplying is not super hard. It is just, it can be a little long. You just have to be able to keep up with multiple things. So the steps for this are going to be distribute or FOIL, combine your like terms, then just write your polynomial in standard form. So let's look. Let me zoom in. So if you notice in number 6, we have w minus 7, and that is multiplied by w squared plus 2w plus 1. So essentially, in most times or most cases, we would FOIL something if there were only 2 terms. Now that there's 3 terms in this second parentheses, you can do this a couple different ways, but the way I suggest you do it is to distribute w first and then distribute negative 7. So that would look like this. Distribute this w to each of these terms, which means you're multiplying it. Then you're going to come back and take this negative 7 and multiply it by each. So I'll rewrite that again, kind of go through that. So first of all, we will distribute w to each term in the second parentheses. So first of all, we would take w times w squared, which is going to give me w to the third, because when we multiply variables with exponents, we actually add the exponents. The second thing we will do is take w times 2w, which will give me plus 2w squared, because once again, we're adding those exponents. And then the last one will be w times 1, which is just plus w. So that's all for the first term in our parentheses, in our first parentheses. Now we need to go back and distribute the second term. So when we do that, we'll take negative 7 times w squared, which will give me minus 7w squared. Then we'll take negative 7 times 2w, which is minus 14w. And then negative 7 times 1 is minus 7. So now we've distributed everything out, FOILed everything out. It really wouldn't be FOIL. It would be more like a distribution. Now we just need to come in and combine all of our like terms. So first, let's look at w to the third. We don't have another exponent of 3. So that's just going to come down. Then we've got 2w squared. We also have a minus 7w squared, so we can combine those. Those are like terms. That will give me minus 5w squared. So we're done with those. Last, we have w minus 14w. So that's going to give me minus 13w. And then the last thing we have is this negative 7, which it would just come down. So your final answer would be w to the third minus 5w squared minus 13w minus 7. And that's typically going to be how almost all of these are done. It's going to be some form of foiling or some form of like distributing. So like in number 8, you would distribute this 3 to both of those, to A and 5. Then you would FOIL these 2, and then you would have to do another round of multiplication. So some of these will be a little long, but I don't think you'll have too much problem with them. We'll go through some of the homework examples as well in class, but I don't think you'll have too much trouble with these. They are a little long, so I'll just go ahead and warn you they're a little long and tedious, but it's not shouldn't be anything that you cannot handle.